everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. So I am making Oaxacan Inspired Nourish Bowls. And so what that's going to entail is it's going to entail taking a nice big bowl. This happens to be our 4-cup prep bowl, but I love it for things like this. I actually just ordered another one because I find these so useful. They have a silicone lid, which I'll show you in a sec anyway. They have a silicone lid and they fit 4 cups in there, so it's a good size for a salad. It's a good size for prepping some stuff, like sometimes I'll cut up cauliflower and I'll use half of it and I put the rest in the fridge in one of these. They're awesome. So I'm going to put rice. This is going to have some maple syrup chipotle sweet potato and some maple syrup chipotle squash. The squash is fresh out of my garden, which is amazing. We're going to put on top of that some cabbage, and the cabbage is also fresh out of the garden. Some avocado, of course. I've got some goat cheese and a few other things that we're going to throw on top of there. And I forgot one of the layers. So it's going to actually be rice, and then it's going to be seasoned black beans. Then we're going to have the sweet potatoes, the squash, the cabbage, some goat cheese, and what else have I got? I feel like I'm forgetting something. Some amazing sauces. So that's what I'm making for tonight's dinner, and I thought I'd just pop on and do it as a live. So here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you the rice. Now, you may have heard my microwave just finished. I am not a big microwave person normally, but I have decided to try out a microwave. So a friend of mine gave me one, which I'm sort of testing out. It's pretty old, so actually the timing is a little longer than most newer microwaves might take for things. But what I'm finding is I love it for rice and quinoa. So I put it in our steamer, put the steamer in the microwave, I set it and forget it, and then that's done while I focus on getting everything else ready. So it can be ready to go in the 20 minutes or so it takes me to get everything else set and ready for a dinner. So I'm going to show you that. Let me just grab it out of the microwave here, and I'm not leaving you, I'm not going far. But it is in our steamer. It's smoking hot. The nice thing about our silicone steamers is I'm able to take that out of the microwave without burning my hands, which is really nice. This is a, I want to say 16 cup, but off the top of my head, I could be off slightly on that. I'll have to double check for you. But this is our large multi-purpose steamer. It's really nice and big. I've made lasagnas in here, made popcorn in here. It cooks with steam. It's silicone grade, what's the word I'm looking for? Silicone, food grade safe. And so it's super flexible. The lid pops on here. It has steamer vents and it seals nice and tight when it's on. I actually cooked it without the lid on. This is a tray here that I'm taking out, which you can layer. So you can put your protein in the bottom. You can put a layer of veg on the top and steam them all together. It can go in the oven up to 425 degrees, I want to say. And or 450, actually I think it is 450. So this little tray is removable. You can do bacon in here. I have actually used it as a baking tray, so I'm just going to pop that into the oven. It goes into the dishwasher, which is awesome. And there is some lovely, I've used the Bundaberg rice, so this takes longer than white rice is done in about 14 minutes. This probably took closer to 20, and I got it done a little early just so I could show you, but normally I'd set it while I'm cooking and then have it ready to go when I'm finished. So that's our rice. I'm going to put the lid back on to keep it nice and hot. I'll put this over here, and that's our amazing steamer as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is our beans. So I have just taken a can of beans, strained them in this, again, this is one of our silicone products. This is a strainer or colander. It actually is, it will fold down flat. I can't do it because the beans are in there, but you can see these little, what would we call that? I don't know. You see the little divisions here that allow it to pop down. And the cool thing about this is it's multifunctional. So it'll store flat, and it can also go into a pot, and it fits really well into our multi-purpose pots. This is a smaller one. It fits even better into the bigger one. And you can steam stuff in there too. So it can work as a steamer pot that will sit over top of one of our multi-purpose pots. Pretty cool. So I am going to take these beans, which I've rinsed in our colander, I'm going to drop them into our multi-purpose pot here and shake that out. That will go in the dishwasher. And I'll say a couple words about our multi-purpose pot. So this is an 8-cup one. We have a 12-cup one. The handle doesn't get hot. It has a pour spout. It has measures on the inside. So it goes, this one is 8 cup. We do have a 12 cup as well. The 12 cup is currently out of stock. So if you're watching this live or currently here at the beginning of October, it's out of stock at the moment in Canada. It will come back in. It's I believe the issue is glass right now. There's a little bit of an issue with supplying glass. And so it's our glass lid that's causing the problem, I believe. So the lid it comes with is, as I said, is glass. This doesn't get hot. And it has 2 strainers on it. So I'm not sure how well you can see that. But the strainer, there's the large size and the small size. So when I'm making pasta, for example, I will boil the pasta in here, strain it out directly in here. And then if I'm doing like the kids' mac and cheese, I'll put all the stuff right back in the same pot. So I'm just cooking one pot. Don't have to measure the water with a measuring cup. I can use the measures on the inside to fill it up to the appropriate amount. Amazing pot, changed my life. We have both sizes. I've already used this one once today. They're forever in the dishwasher because we use them constantly. They're a fantastic tool. So those, that's our multi-purpose pot, but we don't need the lid on for the beans. The beans are just going to get heated up. And in fact, I'm going to add a little seasoning in here. So here's where our seasonings start to come in. I'm going to be using our fajita to just, ooh, it's hard to see with my lovely light. I'm going to be using our fajita just to give these beans a little flavor. One of the things that you will notice about our Epicure products is that everything is really low sodium. So you may want to add some salt in. I'm using about a tablespoon here. In fact, that is just about the last of this. I don't know if I have more. I'm going to have to order it. So I'm going to put some of our fajita in here. And I'm going to actually add in some salt. Where's my salt? I have this herbed salt. This is kind of a fun one. So it's got garlic in there and some herbs, and it gives a little bit of extra flavor when you want to use sea salt. If you want a little extra flavor in there, I'm going to just do a few turns of that in because I like a little more saltiness in some of our products. And then I'm going to also, oh my gosh, it's empty, almost empty. There's a tiny little bit left of my toasted onion. So I do actually have an onion, but I did not feel like chopping one up, but I wanted to put a little onion flavor in there. So I'm just going to toss that in. And that needs to be reordered. So there's that one, toasted onion. I'm going to set that to warm over here. So those beans are nice and warm when it's ready to plate. The next thing I'm going to talk to you and show you is the roasted vegetables. So this is going to be a vegetarian meal. Now, if you wanted, you could put some shredded chicken, or you could do some fajita chicken, and that could replace some of the veg that we're putting in here, or sorry, some of the, not the veg, some of the beans, or you could do it in addition to beans if you wanted some extra protein. But we're doing vegetarian because we're trying to eat more plant-based. So what I've done here is I've cut up one sweet potato, and here you can see I have an acorn squash. This actually came out of my garden today, so it's really nice and fresh, which is really fun. And I have simply roasted those. But what I've done is I've roasted them with some maple syrup. And so I've taken about a tablespoon of maple syrup, took a couple tablespoons of oil, and then I added in just a bit of each of these. So I added a little bit of our taco, and there you go. A little bit of the fajita. It's hard to, I don't know, the light is blocking that out. So taco fajita, and a little bit of our chipotle. So the chipotle is like absolutely my top faves. I use this constantly. I always have extra because I am terrified of running out. We like a lot of Mexican flavors, but I find it also works really well in a lot of our Asian dishes. So this squash is pretty hot right now, but when it cools off a little bit, I can actually just peel the cover off the squash and cut it up really easily. So that's going to also go into our Buddha bowl. So I'm going to let those cool while I show you the next thing. So next up, we are going to add some cabbage. And so it's going to be a bit of like a coleslaw. And this is, again, right out of my garden today. So cool. I have 2 cabbages left in my garden. Didn't know I could grow cabbage, and it was so easy. So I'll definitely be growing that again next year. So I'm going to show you what I've done with the cabbage. This is our prep bowl again. I love these things. So I've shredded it up into, just bite-sized pieces, and I have been using our mandolin. It's going to be really awkward to demonstrate at this angle, but I'm going to do it. So here we go. Oh, I can't do it so you can really see, but It is a little tricky sometimes to get it going. And as you can see, I'm finding it a little bit rough to get started, but it seems like once you get it going, it goes pretty good. And one thing I will share with you, this has 4 settings. It has 2 julienne and then 2 slices settings. So you can do a really thin slice, or you can do like a nice sandwich style, like cucumber slice, like thickness, or it would make a great potato, like if you're doing fried scallop potatoes, that kind of thickness. And then this is our julienne tool here. I don't know how well that shows up, but it's super sharp. So when you are cutting things that are starting to get close to the blade, you definitely want to use this protector. And so that will pop right over, and then you can just slice like that. So that's a great tool. It makes coleslaw, I mean, I hate chopping it up. It makes nice even cuts. I'll show you the cuts here. It's nice and even. It's just really nice bite-sized pieces in the julienne setting. And it'll do a larger julienne, which is what I've got set on now, or a smaller julienne as well. And so it's just great. It's just so nice to be able to cut things evenly and know that all those pieces are going to be nice and even and bite-sized. It's a nice quick tool for doing that. And so we've got the coleslaw, and I could dress this coleslaw. I'm not going to, because I've made some amazing sauces for it. So I'm going to show you those now. First up, I'm going to show you my Chipotle sauce. So sometimes this is called Mexican secret sauce. We have a way of doing it as a Chipotle aioli, which the instructions for are right on the side of our Chipotle spice jar. And so I have taken half a cup of mayo, a couple tablespoons of water, about a tablespoon of lime juice, and you would adjust that based on your preference for the acid. I put a little extra salt in here, and then a tablespoon of the Chipotle, and I'm going to blend that up here with a whisk. And now when we make it as an aioli, it's much thicker, like it's the consistency of mayonnaise. But this is much more of a liquidy consistency, and I wanted to make it a little more liquidy because I want it to act almost like a dressing and be able to be blended in really nicely. So that's the Chipotle Mexican secret sauce. And I also have an amazing avocado sauce. So this one I did in the Vitamix, so you could do it in any blender, or you could potentially just mash it up yourself. It might be a little harder to get it really nice and evenly blended, but what I've got here is I've got a whole avocado, about 2/3 of a cup of cilantro. Like I put a lot of cilantro in here. I put a half a lime, and I kind of did that to taste. And then I used a couple of other things in here. I did put some more salt in because, again, I like to add a little salt back into some of our products. I used our minced garlic because I didn't feel like you can put raw garlic in, but I just didn't feel like chopping it, and I'm tired today. It's been a crazy day. So I used the minced garlic, and I used our guacamole. Oops, sorry, that's not showing up exactly. So the guacamole is, obviously you can make it traditional creamy or traditional guacamole with this, and it's got really nice flavors. This is also great if you like salsa and you like the flavors of salsa, but you don't want a spicy salsa. We have a poco picante, which is a little bit spicy. It's got a lot of heat to it, so you might personally find that's too much for you. If you like a really neutral, not spicy salsa, you can use this instead of our poco picante to season your salsa. So a little kitchen hack for you, or a little epicure hack, I should say. So I did about 1.5 tablespoons of that, but I did it to taste. And this is beautiful. This sauce, I tasted it. Oh my word, I am in love. The only thing I would like to do is make it a little more liquidy. I did add, actually, sorry, I should say, I did add, I think, 2/3 of a cup of water. I would actually even add a little bit more because I like to have that liquidy texture like the aioli was for this one, but I'm going to leave it as is. You can see it's not as thick as a guacamole. It's more runny, but at the same time, I couldn't put it into, my thought was I might put it into one of these style containers, and I don't think it's quite liquidy enough for that, like one of these with a little pour spout there, so I could just kind of dress it like that. So you could add a little more water to give it that more of a liquidy texture. And then, of course, I'm going to just put some straight up avocado on there. I'm going to add a little bit of tortilla chips on the bowl, and I'm going to add in a little bit of my goat cheese, and that's going to form our bowl. So I'm going to show you that now. I'm hoping that my squash is cool enough to peel, and I wish I could show this to you a little easier, but basically I just cook the squash face down. I cut it in half and cook it face down, and then it is a bit hot still right now. It's a little tricky to do. I just peel it. And so that squash, what I did was in the center of it, before I flipped it over, I put that maple chipotle seasoning inside it and then flipped it over. So it's kind of steaming itself inside there. And it is going to get that flavor into it as well. So I'm going to cook that up. My sons are here. It's super hot, kids. Okay, so there we go. That's Ricky waving to you. So there we go. I've just literally peeled that off in like 1 second. That's so easy to come off. And that's fresh out of the garden, so it's going to be amazing. So here we go. I'm going to plate this up for you so you can see what it looks like when it's all done. Our lovely Nourish bowl. And so my grains are here. I'm just going to take some grains, put them into this bowl here. And grains, okay, that's actually quite a lot. That's more than a cupful. I would have kind of maybe put a cupful if I had been paying more attention to what I was doing just there. And actually, before I put these beans in, I'm going to use our ground meat separator to smash them up a little bit, just to give them a little bit of, I don't know, I just feel like they kind of could use a little bit, like if they're open, and I should have done this while they were heating up as well, but if they're open, they're going to get a little bit more flavor inside the bean as well as on the outside. So I'm going to do a nice big layer of the beans on there. And that was 1 can. Now I made a lot of rice, but I only did 1 can of beans because I'm feeding 2 people with this meal right now. The kids are going to bed. This is going to be Daddy and Mommy's dinner for after bedtime. I'm going to add some of our sweet potato, and that's the one that's seasoned with the maple avocado oil and chipotle, and then a little bit of the taco, a little bit of the fajita as well. So that's all been blended together. I'm going to find myself a knife. Sure, I had one handy. Here we go. And I'm just going to cut a few pieces of this squash into cubes, and I'm going to put that on here. And this is so easy. So that's going on, and that's coming on in big chunks, but actually it is cut up. So the squash is now on there, and you can see there's the yellow, there's the orange for each of those different flavors. And what have I got up next? I'm going to add on my crunchy. Now there's one thing you could do with this Buddha bowl, or this, I should say, Nourish bowl, is you could add in some maple chipotle pecans. I had actually thought I had pecans when I started planning out this recipe, but I didn't actually have them. It's like somebody in this house must have eaten them without my awareness. So I didn't actually have them, but you could roast some pecans with that that maple syrup and a little bit of oil and chipotle as well, and just roast those up and make them really nice, flavorful, and they would be beautiful on here. So bringing in a little bit of that almost autumn. It's not traditionally Mexican as such, but, or Oaxacan specifically. And Oaxacan, funnily enough, I actually lived in Oaxaca. It's an amazing city. So now I'm going to add in a little bit more avocado, some fresh avocado, just cut into a few slices here. Oh, this is so colorful and beautiful. This avocado is not quite, it's a little not perfect. It's got just a tiny touch of those brown spots in it, but I think it's okay. And I'm going to put a little bit of my goat cheese in here. Goat cheese is used in Mexican cooking, but it's definitely not the Chev style that I tend to use at home myself. But I feel like it's going to work. I feel like this is going to work with the flavors we've got here. So I'm going to just do a little bit of that, kind of crumble it on. Okay, a little bit more. There we go. And so you guys, this is so fun because literally this is me cooking my dinner tonight, just doing it on a camera so that other people can see it. So this is what I love about being an Epicure consultant. All right, where is my lovely sauce? Here is my Mexican secret sauce. And I'm going to use my spice spoon. It's still got a bit of the stuff on there, so I'm going to actually use this side and just drizzle some of that on here. And I really wanted it to have that, I wanted to put it in one of those little pour things so it would kind of get that zigzaggy shape on there, but it's just not going to happen. But it's still going to be amazing and tasty and lovely. And then I'm going to put as well some of my, let's leave it like that, some of my avocado sauce on here, which I need another spoon for. So let me just grab one more spoon and then I'll show you the final product. So yay, Buddha bowl, so good. I keep calling it a Buddha bowl. I think I've said that I would like to think of it as a Nourish bowl, but I'm just saying it wrong. There we go. And finally, last but not least, a little more of our cilantro. So, of course, cilantro is optional. It can be kind of polarizing. People seem to love it or hate it. But, you know, you choose what you like. So that's the fun thing about this. You can take things in, you can take them out. I feel like I'm forgetting one more thing, but it's gone. So there we go. How good does that look? Rice, beans, we've got some veg, we've got some healthy fats, we've got some fresh cabbage out of the garden, and then the cilantro on top. Oh, I am forgetting one more thing. And a few tortilla chips, just to add a little more crunch in there and give it a little more of that Mexican vibe. There we go. Okay, so that's it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that gave you some ideas for how to use some of your Epicure products that you might already have at home. And if you don't have these at home and you're interested in them, you can find everything at monicaregan.epicure.com. And if you are not already watching on my VIP Epicure group, which many of you are not, you can head over to Monica Regan's VIP Epicure group, where you can find lots of this information. I even have a YouTube channel if you are not watching there, because some of you might be actually watching this video over there. So you can check that out under Monica Regan. All right, everyone, have an amazing night, and I hope you make yourself a lovely Nourish bowl and enjoy some healthy, fun cooking with Epicure. Have an amazing night. Love you guys.